Welcome to the Abundance Journey, the show that helps spiritual entrepreneurs create an abundance mindset that accelerates revenue. Here's your host, the Abundance Ambassador, Elaine Starling.
Hey, it's Elaine Starling. I'm so glad you could join me today because I have some important things to share with you. You know, let's just be honest. Life can feel like a lot sometimes, and I get it. Sometimes just when you think you've finally got that rhythm, you've got that momentum, it's starting to all come together. And then out of the blue, the rug gets pulled out from under you and the plan starts to unravel. And that certainty that you used to feel, poof, it just disappears. Everything feels kind of off, right? And unfortunately, when we get to those moments, sometimes you can hear yourself thinking things kind of like, well, what if I never figure this out? I mean, seriously, is life supposed to feel this empty, this disconnected? Look, I have been there before. You are not alone. And I just want to reassure you, you're not broken. Life goes in cycles. It is a sine wave that goes up and we're really happy and everything's wonderful. And then, oh my gosh, what just happened? The stuff just hit the fan. The questions that you're asking yourself are not signs of failure. They really aren't. They're signs that your soul is waking up. And when I draw a sine wave on the side, it makes it sound like you're going from left to right. You're not. It's actually a spiral that's continually going up. But when we hit a down part, when we've been on that forward upper trajectory, any even subtle down can feel really down. But it's not. It's just a sign that your soul is waking up, that something even deeper is ready to emerge. Often what we're really experiencing isn't a lack of ability or even clarity. It's a secret signal that we're accidentally holding on to scarcity without even realizing it. See, scarcity says things like, you're behind. Everybody else is so much further apart ahead of you. You're such a slacker. You're not doing enough. You better fix this really fast or everything's going to fall apart. Right? You've heard that voice. I've heard that voice before. But here's the irony. Okay. You don't release scarcity by doing more stuff. You release scarcity by remembering who you already are. It isn't about pushing harder. It's about coming home to yourself. No, you don't have to fix yourself and you don't have to have it all figured out either. You just have to remember. And that's exactly where we begin. Now, in today's episode, we're going to explore what I call remembrance. It's the first step in the spiral of divine abundance. It's not just a concept. This is truly a returning. It's kind of a re-anchoring. It's a soft and very powerful reconnection with your original truth. You are already whole. You are already worthy. You are already abundant. So let's explore what happens when we stop chasing and we start remembering. And before we get into the nitty gritty, we're going to take a few minutes to connect our energy, yours, mine, with all the other listeners and viewers, as well as with the God of your understanding, what I call the divine. And we're going to use two techniques to connect our energy so that you quickly experience a lasting transformation. Now, the first thing we're going to do is take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. As we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. I'll remind you when we get there. Now, after the 3 breaths, I'm going to share our intention. I'm pointing at my heart. The intention is a lot like typing into a spiritual GPS because the intention is telling the divine where we choose to go and how we choose to feel about it on our way to this destination. And the tricky part is we're going to hold that intention in silence for 78 seconds to give the divine long enough time to lock into our new destination. Now, that can be very challenging. I totally get it. I can relate to that. There are two techniques that I use to help me hold that vibration for 78 seconds. The first thing is I'll pick two or three words out of the intention that just feel expansive. They feel uplifting to me. And I'll repeat those words over and over again because that's the higher vibration that I really want to experience with the divine's help. So that's the first technique. Repeat two or three words over and over again. And then I notice what's happening in my body. I might feel a wave of heat or I get goosebumps. I might receive an image. Anything like that is just a sign that the divine is ready to play with us. Let's get started. Let's take a moment to take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. As we breathe in through the nose, think the words I am. As we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. Let's start right now. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. In love and light, we hold the intention that we automatically notice, appreciate, and release all thoughts and feelings of scarcity, immediately noticing, appreciating, and welcoming abundance in all forms that is present in every moment. Thank you, divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, that was really cool. I felt myself just anchored into the ground, this deep rooting that went all the way down into the center of the earth. It was just such a strong, loving sensation. I don't know what you felt, but hopefully it was something like that. So, what we're chatting about today is the concept of remembrance. It's the sacred beginning of the spiral of divine abundance. Remembrance is really about returning to the truth of who you are. Now, to remember something is a lot more than just recalling a thought or a fact. It's also to remember, right? To bring back together the forgotten pieces of your truest self. So, kind of ultimately, remembrance is sort of the act of becoming aware, right? Aware of your origin, aware of your essence, aware of your innate worth. So, a question I have for you: how aware are you of you? I mean, who are you really? How do you think of yourself and how you define yourself? Are you the sum of your actions, like your title in your LinkedIn profile, or the number of clients you serve, or maybe the children that you raise? Are you defining yourself based on your outcomes, like how many books you've sold, the prestige of the publisher that you worked with, the commas in your bank account? Or maybe you're placing your value on who you are with your affiliations, right? Like the networks you belong to, the ideologies you align with, the influencers that you admire. Well, it's kind of interesting when you think about it because all those actions, all those outcomes, all those affiliations are really common ways that we try to define ourselves, but every single one of them is external, right? They're on the outside. They quantify and reflect the doing of your life, but not the internal being of it. And that is something that I've discovered is a really vital distinction because you are not what you do. You're not what you produce. You are who you are, right? Before, beneath, beyond all the layers of performance and perception. We've been conditioned to seek abundance outside ourselves, to strive, to prove, to earn our worth, right? We were taught that our value has to be demonstrated and justified. It's that whole, what have you done for me lately? Perpetual soundtrack in the background throughout our lives. Now, the problem with this approach is it's a race that doesn't have a finish line. Have you ever noticed every time you start to get close, all of a sudden it moves again? Talk about frustrating. Well, remembrance is a radical return to truth. And I really want you to hear this. I really want you to get this and own it. You are already whole. You are already abundant. You do not need to become enough. You already are enough right now, exactly as you are in this moment, with exactly what you weigh, with exactly how much education you've had, with exactly what you've accomplished in terms of the outcomes you wanted to achieve in your life. I got to tell you, lack is a lie, even when there's more that you'd like to experience in your life right now. Scarcity is just a story that you've been telling yourself over and over again so often that now you think scarcity is your actual reality. But fortunately, the good news is both lack and scarcity can be completely surrendered as soon as you choose to remember who you truly are. And this matters. This makes such a huge difference because as long as you believe that abundance is living out there somewhere in somebody else's approval, in your future achievements, in a bigger platform and a better result, well, you remain in this perpetual state of striving. And, maybe you finally get there, you accomplish some important goal that you really wanted to master. But, a couple of days later, all of a sudden, it's like, what's next? Because you still feel unfulfilled. Something is still missing when you place your abundance outside yourself. But when you remember that abundance begins within, that it's your birthright and not a reward, you start living from a totally different energy. You have a whole new perspective that creates an entirely new experience of your life. You stop chasing, trying to grab it. You start receiving. You stop trying to prove your worth. You start welcoming. You stop surviving and you start embodying. Remembrance isn't a concept, okay? It's not a concept. It's the first sacred step back to yourself. And I'm just exactly like you, okay? I am the first student of the spiral of divine abundance, and I got my education the hard way. So I'm sharing this with you because I want to save you a lot of the problems that I experienced by sharing some of the shortcuts that I witnessed. There was a season in my life when I used to measure abundance by numbers, right? How many clients I had, how many zeros were in my bank account, how many great opportunities were lined up on my calendar. And on paper, things looked really good. But inside, that was a different story. Inside, I felt like I was just constantly running, chasing the next big thing, the next proof that I was enough, that I mattered, that I'd made it. And let me be real with you. The more I chased, the more it seemed to disappear. It just vanished. The harder I pushed, the further away it was. It was like I was trying to hold water in my hands and it all just kept dripping through my fingers. And one morning I was really burnt out with all of this constant, striving to prove my value, prove my worth. And I sat down, I was in total silence. I connected with the divine and I asked one desperate question. What am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? And I got to tell you, that one question really cracked something open. I got this immediate download. And instead of seeing my usual list of targets and deadlines and deliverables and all that junk, I saw a list of truths. I saw a friend who had texted me just to say that she believed me. I felt a warm cup of coffee in my hands with exactly the right amount of creamer, and it tastes so good. And I remembered my fridge is so full of food, and it's all healthy, and it's stuff I love. And I get to enjoy clean air that tastes good and smells sweet. And I live in a fire-prone area in California, and let me tell you, there are times when it doesn't. So knowing and noticing when it does, what a blessing. And I looked outside my window and I got to see this sunrise painting the sky. And I had this epiphany. I finally saw what had been there all along. Abundance, not in future outcomes. This is abundance in my present reality. Abundance hadn't vanished. I just had been looking at it. I was so obsessed with the lack, with all the things I hadn't achieved yet, all the things I didn't have yet, all the things I hadn't done yet, that I completely tuned out the miracle of what was already here. And that day, I'll be honest with you, I didn't manifest more external stuff. I remembered more the internal awareness. And ironically, that's when something really wild and wonderful happened, because everything started to flow. Opportunities just showed up out of nowhere. Relationships deepened. Clients were chasing me down, asking to work with me, because this time I wasn't striving. I was aligned. I wasn't pushing harder. I was anchoring deeper into presence. Presence aligns you with abundance, so you remember who you truly are. And this is a key distinction I want you to get. Gratitude is the language of presence, because honestly, the only way you can notice something you can be grateful for is if you're truly present in this moment. It brings you present. That's why I'm always telling people that grateful curiosity is the most magnetic state of being, because when you're in grateful curiosity, you are actively engaging with life. Your eyes are wide open in wonder. You're leaning in. You're tuned in. You're so receptive to all those blessings you used to overlook. So I'm going to invite you to notice the kinds of blessings that are showing up for you today. It might be something that made you smile or laugh, even for just a second, something a little silly. Maybe it was a moment that helped you reconnect with your spiritual center. Like the 3 deep breaths, I am consciousness. Maybe it's a small step that you took that aligned you with your higher vision. Maybe it was a quiet and beautiful truth that you realized in a relationship that you cherish. Maybe it's even something you could celebrate about you. I know, what an ironic thing. You are worth celebrating. And I got to tell you, these little things, these little seemingly insignificant things, they're not the detours on the road to the abundance you're seeking. These little things are the road of abundance that you can enjoy right now, because when you do enjoy them right now, it's what gets you in the energetic alignment to attract the rest of the things that you are chasing. We miss out when we're sprinting towards our outcomes because the soul does not thrive on metrics. The soul thrives on meaning. When you remember who you are, it's not a role, it's not a title, it's not a result, it's not an outcome. You are a living extension of the divine. And as soon as you remember that, you stop living in fear and lack. It dissipates. You start to move from joy and trust and flow. And when that's your experience, abundance doesn't have to be chased. It just materializes all around you. Now, I'm going to share 3 simple transformational practices that help you remember what's already yours. And it's all in the show notes so that you can revisit this again and again. Okay. The first transformational practice is to start with presence, not pressure. When you slow down enough to see, you begin to receive. Have you ever noticed how scarcity loves to rush you? Scarcity is pushy. Scarcity thrives in urgency, anxiety, overdrive, right? Push, push, push. Well, the antidote to scarcity is presence, stillness, a sacred breath. So give yourself the gift of presence. Take 60 seconds, time it on your phone, okay? No scrolling, no fixing, no planning. 60 seconds to just be. And during these 60 seconds, ask yourself, how is abundance showing up in my life right now? What are the little symptoms and signs of abundance in my life right now? And then gently notice what's already here, right? The warmth of your favorite drink that you're holding in your hands. Might be a lovely rhythm of music playing softly in the background. The comfort of clothes that fit and feel great on your body. A book on your shelf that really inspires you. A beloved pet resting nearby, calm and content. These moments aren't minor. They're a mirror. Each one reflects how life is already supporting you, already gifting you something real. These moments are the abundance of you. Presence shifts your perspective. When you are present, you go from reaching to receiving, from seeking proof to seeing it and receiving it everywhere you look. Presence is all around you. I'm sorry, abundance is all around you when you're really present to it. So, this practice of taking a moment to just be fully present, really transformational. The second transformational practice is name the lie, speak the truth. Lack can only survive in silence. Truth is what sets you free. The voice of scarcity is really sneaky. It is, because it sounds a lot like fear, or it sounds like you're comparing yourself to somebody else, or it sounds like you're getting behind and it's this sense of urgency, or maybe it's a feeling of shame and blame that you haven't achieved more yet. But honestly, here's the secret. Once you name that little voice and you say, aha, I see you, scarcity, it starts to lose its grip. So the next time you feel yourself thinking, God, I'm not enough. I haven't been there, done that yet. There's not enough for all of us. I want you to pause and speak this out loud. Thank you, scarcity, for trying to protect me. I release you now. I remember who I am. I welcome the infinite abundance of the divine. Now, notice this is not pushing fear away. You are acknowledging it with compassion and then choosing a deeper truth. So it's not bypassing. This is a process that helps you reclaim your power. Okay. Now, the third transformational technique is to shift from lack to legacy, because scarcity is always asking, what do I need? What do I need now? Legacy asks, what am I here to give? Scarcity always keeps us focused on what's missing, what we don't have yet, what we haven't achieved yet. But legacy is lifting our focus. It's reminding us that we're not just consumers, we are creators. We are channels of infinite divine energy. So instead of asking, what do I need to get out of this situation? You can ask yourself, what am I here to give now? Maybe it's a kind word. Maybe it's sharing a skill that you have. Maybe it's being in compassionate listening. Maybe it's an opportunity to share a personal truth of something that you witnessed in yourself. My favorite thing is to acknowledge someone for something that they're doing and then appreciating the difference that that makes in my life. When you show up with the intention to contribute, even in tiny ways, you shift out of lack into overflow. Because when you live like you're full, you become a source of abundance for the world around you. And then you witness and experience even more abundance. Now, I know these 3 techniques are really simple. They are. They're super simple. They're also very powerful activations. Presence reminds you to notice. Truth reminds you to trust. And legacy reminds you to serve. Together, they help you remember the truth of who you are, the divine in human form. Now, the challenge is this is not a one and done, okay? Sadly, no, that's not how it works. We are all human beings, which means we're wired for survival. We are designed to scan for danger. And that instinct isn't wrong, okay? It's just an ancient instinct that kept our ancestors alive. So it really makes sense that your very first reaction might be, what's missing? What could go wrong? How do I keep myself safe, right? It's just important to realize that that's the language of scarcity thinking. It's not a personal flaw. It's just biology at work. And that biology contains an invitation, because what once protected you no longer has to limit you. Be kind to yourself. Your nervous system is doing its job. It's not a weakness, it's just ancient wisdom. And now you are evolving. You're expanding beyond this basic protection into divine possibility. So here's the reframe. Scarcity isn't your enemy. It's just an old, outdated lens. You don't have to fight it. You get to just release it. You don't earn abundance through perfection, hustle, or approval. You remember it. And when you do, when you stop chasing something outside because it's already within you, you unlock a new way of being. You start spiraling upward into this spiritual peace, emotional fullness, and financial flow. You shift from guarding your life to living it, because you were never created to chase what you already carry. You are the embodiment of abundance, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are right now in this moment. And you've spent so long searching outside, chasing approval, milestones, meaning. The real treasure is inside you all along. Abundance is not a finish line. It's a frequency that solidifies into tangible physical expression. It starts with the energy. And today you've turned it back on. You tuned back in by remembering who you really are. You are already what you've been seeking. And now you're coming home to who you are. And once you remember who you are, you begin to see all the places where you've given pieces of yourself away. You gave away your voice, your time, your boundaries, your joy. And as we get into remembering, we go up the sacred spiral to the next step, which is reclaiming. Remembrance gives you clarity. Reclaiming asks you to live it, not to just know your truth, but to honor your truth, not just awaken your power, but take it back sacredly, unapologetically, and on your terms. That's where we're going to go next in a future episode, but take a breath right now. Let this feeling of remembrance anchor in your bones. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're remembering the fullness of who you already are. Stick around because we're going to activate abundance in just a minute. I hope you've enjoyed this session as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. It's time to activate abundance. Step one is always gratitude. How cool that you can witness abundance all around you all the time. I know there's different kinds of abundance that you're after, that you'd like to experience, and it unfolds, it opens up, it unravels, it unwraps itself, and it starts with that beautiful feeling that I call, yeah, baby, energy. That's where you're in the zone. You're happy, excited, delighted. You know you're capable and resourceful. So whatever shows up, it's not going to freak you out. It's a fun part of the game. You get to bring your skills to bear. You get to show off those muscles that you've been working on so much. So gratitude is step one. Gratitude for this amazing game called life. Step two is to acknowledge something you heard that was an insight for you, an aha for you. And one of the hidden things that I didn't say overtly, but I want to point out here, is the kind of abundance that you have total control over. You don't control your past. You don't control your future. The only control you have is over right now, yourself right now. And so the beautiful thing about this is you can go inside to witness all the things that are supportive and empowering and loving to you. And it may not be supportive, loving, and empowering to somebody else. It's unique to you. What really makes you feel good in this moment. It's that inner knowing. Yeah. So we tap into that. And we have total control over tapping into inner knowing instead of being distracted by all the outside stuff, the deadlines, the urgency. Yeah, it's still there. But the thing that's so powerful, tons of studies show when you take the time to align with that inner presence, that divine within you, you're so much more effective. You're more productive. You get more done in less time because you're focused on the things that really build in alignment with who you are being. Makes all the difference in the world. So what I'm acknowledging is how going within to look for abundance gives you incredible control. Step three is to appreciate the difference it makes in your life. I never have to feel uncertain again. I have complete control over abundance in my life because I can witness right now things in my immediate environment and things going on inside my body, thoughts, feelings, emotions, anything like that, that makes me feel good about myself. I can generate this whenever I want to. I have total control over that. And it starts the ball rolling to create all of the abundance that I want because I ignite the energy of abundance. When I go within, I ignite that, yeah, baby energy. So I can show up in grateful curiosity, delight, and wonder there to serve others. That legacy thing that we talked about. When I show up that way, I'm not pushing, I'm not striving, I'm not trying to grab at things. I'm there to support and empower those around me. And that is so magnetic. It's so appealing that, of course, people want to work with me. I'm not desperate. I'm happy to serve. And they get it. They experience you in a totally different way. Okay, 3 ways that we can activate this. And this is step 4 3 ways to activate it. The first way is schedule time to get it done, and I include journaling in this. Journaling is so powerful because so often you've got all these thoughts running through your head, all these things you need to get done. And when you take the time to start listing your to-do list, then when it's down on paper, you don't have to stress about it anymore. Or you type it up in your computer. It's out of your head. So now you can relax and you can go within and you can witness that divine presence inside. You can anchor in the beauty and the abundance that is around you and anchor in the inner knowing that you are the embodiment of the divine. So beautiful. The second way to activate abundance is to create a physical trigger, like crossing your fingers or tugging on your earlobe. It's an easy way for you to remember in the moment, I choose to embody abundance in this moment. Yeah, I might have a call with a potential client. I'm not desperate to turn them into a client. I'm delighted to serve. You can feel the energetic difference, right? And that little physical trigger just reminds me of who I am and who I'm choosing to be in this moment. And the more present I am, the more presence and abundance the people I'm chatting with experience too. Powerful stuff. The third way to activate abundance is to partner with an abundance buddy, accountability buddy, somebody who really gets you. You declare who you choose to be, and you ask them for their support to notice when you're out of alignment and just point it out to you so that you can get yourself back into alignment. It's a really powerful and useful technique because we're always growing. And sometimes it's hard to see when we're stepping out of where we truly want to be most of the time, where we're choosing to be. All right. Step 5, celebrate your progress. This is an incredible growth experience that we're on. Life is not a simple thing. It's kind of complex. There are some simple things you can do that change the complex into a breeze. And this is the foundational piece, remembering who you are. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey.
You've been listening to the Abundance Journey Show with Elaine Starling. Visit theabundancejourney.com/podcast gifts to access today's gift, as well as gifts from our other guests. Tune in every week to activate abundance in your life and business. If something resonated with you, please share it with your friends so they can benefit too. Keep activating abundance, and we'll see you in the next episode.